And the answer to the question is, how is the enforcement now? Now the enforcement is nil. They don't. You can lane split right past the police just the same way as you can in California, and nobody will bother you. But was it always like that? No. There were times in the early 2000s where police would actually open their doors, squeeze you against dividers, and do all kinds of stuff like to impede your travel. Sometimes they would not give you a ticket, sometimes they would, and it would never be an impounded bike unless you had some bad paperwork on your bike. But I'm skeptical as to whether or not it'll stay like this. I mean, it's hard to say if it will. And the law is not on your side. So if you split and you hit a car because somebody came over on you, it's, you know, if you do have to stop or if you get hurt, you're out of luck. I mean, there's no recourse for you. Like the way, now I don't know in California, you know, how they work it out. I mean, I've done plenty of lane splitting in LA, but I've never had an accident. And when I've broken a mirror, unfortunately, you just leave because you don't want a confrontation. And I've never actually broken a mirror in LA because people move out of your way. I've broken mirrors here, and I'll tell you the truth. I hate to say this, but every time I've broken a mirror, the person has deserved it because they were actually pushing me into like a truck or something that was deadly, you know, and it was intentional. So, you know, that was that. But getting back to the lane splitting being accepted, it's 100% accepted here. But has it always been like that? No. Definitely not. It has definitely not been accepted. You know, the situation was different before. You know, like the police were enforcing. There was definite issues, you know, with lane splitting here. It was not an accepted thing. And you could see how that person coming across, he had no idea that somebody would be lane splitting here. That person in the white car was coming from behind a truck, and he didn't even peek. He just came right over. I mean, that's something that you would not see in LA. Because LA, people are fully 100% aware of lane splitting. It's on the driver's test. I really honestly don't think you'll ever see that here in New York. It's not going to be like that. And for someone who rides for work and commuting, I almost believe LA is a better place to live, you know, if you could find the right work. If I found the right work in LA, I would definitely take it. Yeah, LA is a better place to work, without a doubt. It's safer, lane splitting is more accepted. But you can see here, like this guy here in front of me, I mean, he's riding with saddlebags, you know, and he's lane splitting like you would in LA. You wouldn't find people doing that in Virginia or something. You know, actually Virginia, I've seen some people lane split there, but it's rare. But he's got a big Krager bag on there, and he's lane splitting. Well, basically, you know, the lane splitting thing here is 100% accepted. There's no issue with it. If people do it every day on these highways that are jamming to the point of not even moving like this. And a lot of people choose to ride motorcycles, some people all year round, some people only during the warm months. But, you know, so that middle lane is a really bad lane to go into because people cut in there. It's a good way to get rammed. But you can see like people lane split pretty fast here. I mean, it's not exactly going slow. That's a very bad lane, that middle lane. I actually got in an accident there. I used to cut over when I needed to go to the Van Wyck, but I don't do that anymore because those lanes are very prone to people jostling around. So yeah, anyway, the kind of enforcement was really petty though. You would have like a highway cops block a highway, force the highway to have traffic, and then of course motorcycles are going to split. What else are you going to do? I mean, there's traffic. And then they'd be waiting for you, like, and it was always over a hill, so you couldn't see them. But that was par for the course, you know. People would, you know, these people, these highway police would just fuck you all up, cause problems for you. We don't get any of that kind of enforcement anymore, but it doesn't mean it's not coming back. That's the thing, because it is not written into the law like it is in California. And actually the interesting thing was in California, lane splitting was just actually legalized fairly recently. I mean, the time that I was living out there, it still wasn't technically legal. It was just accepted the way it is here in New York. eventually, all the way to where I'm going. But it is a big factor, though, being that it's not technically legal. I mean, you are a bit of a renegade when you're doing it. But you know, I think I would like to see the stats on it in California to see how many accidents have been proven to be the driver's fault when someone was lane splitting, because there's so many factors that come into play, like speed, paying attention. If someone has a dash cam that faces rear and they see that the speed of the motorcyclist was excessive, they probably wouldn't cover it. You know, there's all kinds of things that they could find ways to get out of it. So I would be very interested to see how that works. But generally, because it's on the driver's test in California, you know, statewide, that you must allow motorcycles to pass when they're lane splitting at a reasonable speed. And even if they're not, you're not allowed to impede their travel. So that's interesting, you know. That's and that definitely creates a precedent with people. They're not willing to risk breaking the law to stop you. Now you get the occasional person who just moved to California and is not aware, and they're still using an out-of-state license. There's plenty of that, and people go ape shit on them. Like, when I was once on the 405, and a guy came over really hard on a guy. He might have been on an FZ1, and he just fucking got off his bike and kicked his mirror off. And I mean, he just went ballistic, because in California it's your right, you know, to split. You won't see too much of that here. You might see people rev bombing and getting a little crazy, or maybe whack a mirror with their glove, but they're not going to go tearing mirrors off the car. But this guy literally tore the mirror off the car. You know, because this person impeded his travel on the 405, and the 405 is like, lane splitting is you know, your God-given right there. Nobody better not stop you from lane splitting on the 405 or the 101. You know, those highways are sacred to motorcyclists for lane splitting, because they don't really move that well. So if you choose to take a motorcycle as a means of transportation, it's a good way to get around and get through traffic. Here it's more of a battle. Like, you saw that person in the white Porsche just did not want me coming through. And he was actually getting ready to squeeze, but then he saw that I had handguards on and that it wouldn't end out well for him. And then he backed off. But that's the kind of petty shit that happens here. Either person won't move at all, or they'll come and squeeze you. And if someone doesn't move at all, I don't get upset, because that's their right. You know, they're in their lane and you're coming along. You don't have a right to do anything to them. So if someone is like not moving, I don't even make a gesture. I don't do anything. I just wait till I can get through. But if someone purposely comes over, I don't get mad, I don't get angry, I don't do anything stupid. But if they do keep coming over on me and it's going to cause me some risk, you know, I'm taking the mirror off. And not because I want to, it's just going to happen, because as I'm moving along, my handguard is going to hit their mirror, and their mirror is going to give before my handguard will. And that's just a fact, you know, and that's fine. I'm not asking for it or wanting it in any way at all. But when someone comes over and keeps coming over and puts my life in danger, and it's only happened to me a few times, like I can count on my hands, not on my toes, I can count on my hands, a few times where someone's come over on me and caused me a problem, pushing me into a truck or something, you know. But I don't wish for it, I don't want it, and I'm not trying to cause a problem to people. Just want to get through, that's all. And I don't want to be at the back where I can get hit. Because the idea of lane splitting is all about getting where you got to go safely. I'm not looking to ping off any cars, bounce off any cars, get doors open on me and all that stuff. I'm just looking to get through. I don't want to damage any cars. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I just want to get where I got to go and do my thing, you know? But I get comments from other states where people say, I wish, I hope one day that lane splitting will become accepted the way it is in New York. And yeah, that would be pretty cool, actually. I mean, if it did. I just don't know enough about it to say, and I don't really want to bother people and ask them what state they're in, because they don't divulge that information. And I don't want to push it out of them either, because there could be reasons why they don't want to say their state. So I don't ask for people to tell me what state they're having problems lane splitting in. But I can only gather that I would imagine rural states have but actually I shouldn't say that, because Colorado just legalized lane splitting, and that's a very rural state. So for me to say that is actually wrong, because just because a state is rural doesn't mean they won't approve it. Colorado is very forward thinking. They approve lane splitting by law. But you look at like states like Florida. I've stayed down in Florida extensively, and I've tried to push the way I've done lane splitting in New York, where I remember where lane splitting was not accepted here, and I just started doing it. And then soon enough, other motorcycles started doing it, and I don't know if it was because of me doing it on major highways like the West Side Highway or FDR, but all I know is that when I started splitting, almost everybody started doing it too.